You don't lack discipline. You lack emotional tolerance. You say you lack discipline, but you can scroll for 3 hours without stopping. You can binge an entire season in one night. You can replay an argument in your head for days. You can obsess over a text that hasn't been answered. You can spend hours researching something you never start. You can stay consistent at avoiding the one thing that matters most. That's discipline, just misdirected. You don't lack discipline. You lack tolerance. Tolerance for boredom, tolerance for uncertainty, tolerance for effort without applause, tolerance for slow progress, tolerance for discomfort without immediate relief, tolerance for feeling inadequate while still continuing. Until you build that, nothing changes. Not your habits, not your body, not your finances, not your relationships, not your identity. The lie you've been sold. You've been told what discipline is about: motivation, morning routines, cold showers, productivity systems, habit stacking, supplements, vision boards, strict schedules. Those are tools. But tools collapse the moment discomfort spikes, and discomfort always spikes. No system survives emotional intolerance. You don't fail because your plan is weak. You fail because your tolerance window is small. That's not an insult. That's a mechanism. What actually happens when you quit? Let's slow it down. You decide to change something. Wake up earlier. Eat better. Work out consistently. Stop texting first. Save money. Study. Build something. Day 1 feels powerful. Day 2 feels possible. Day 3, discomfort appears. Not dramatic pain, just subtle internal friction. Heavy body, mild doubt, restlessness, mental resistance, irritation, boredom, low-grade anxiety. And in that moment, something automatic happens. You reduce it. You don't call it escape. You call it reasonable. Tomorrow will be better. I need rest. I'll start fresh Monday. I'm just not in the mood. I'll wait until I feel clearer. But what actually happened is this. You could not tolerate the internal spike. So you exited. That exit felt relieving. Relief reinforced the pattern. Now your tolerance window shrinks. That is how inconsistency forms. You are not lazy. This matters. Laziness is rarely the issue. Most lazy people are highly emotionally reactive. They move fast toward comfort. They move fast away from discomfort. That is not laziness. That is low tolerance. Your nervous system does not hate effort. It hates uncertainty without immediate reward. It hates feeling incompetent. It hates feeling exposed. It hates ambiguity. And growth is made of those things. Discipline is a nervous system skill. This is where most people get it wrong. Discipline is not personality. It is not genetics. It is not upbringing alone. It is nervous system capacity, the ability to feel discomfort without interpreting it as danger. If discomfort equals danger in your body, you will avoid growth every time. Because your body wins, not your goals, not your intentions, your body. Your nervous system prioritizes safety, not success. This is biology. Your system evolved to avoid threats, preserve energy, maintain familiarity. It did not evolve to maximize potential, build abs, scale businesses, develop emotional maturity, have hard conversations calmly. Those are modern demands. Your biology is ancient. When you sit down to do something difficult, your system scans. Is this predictable? Is this safe? Is this familiar? If the answer is no, it generates discomfort. That discomfort is not a verdict. It is a signal of unfamiliarity. But if you treat unfamiliarity as danger, you retreat. And retreat feels smart. Boredom, the most misunderstood emotion. Boredom is one of the biggest discipline killers. You sit down to work. Within minutes, your brain says, "This is slow. This is repetitive. This is unstimulating." Your hand reaches for your phone automatically, not because you're weak, Because boredom feels intolerable. Modern life has trained you to escape boredom instantly. Endless scroll, endless content, endless dopamine spikes. Depth requires boredom tolerance. If you cannot sit through boredom, you cannot build mastery. Every skill is built through repetition. Repetition feels boring. That's not a flaw in the process. That is the process. Anxiety is not a command. You want to speak honestly. Your chest tightens. You want to send the message. Your stomach flips. You want to try something new. Your mind floods with doubt. Anxiety appears. Most people treat anxiety as a stop sign, but anxiety is simply activation. Activation does not equal danger. It equals uncertainty. If you avoid every situation that activates you, your world shrinks. If you move while activated, your tolerance expands. Courage is not the absence of anxiety. It is the ability to function inside it. Fatigue versus discomfort. Here's a hard distinction. There is real exhaustion, and there is discomfort disguised as exhaustion. Real exhaustion requires rest. Discomfort requires endurance. Many people confuse the two. They stop at, I don't like how this feels, not at, my body is genuinely depleted. You must learn the difference. Discomfort says, this is inconvenient. Exhaustion says, you cannot continue safely. If you stop at inconvenience, you never build capacity. The escape loop. This loop runs most lives. Discomfort appears, you escape, relief hits. Your brain encodes, escape works. Next time discomfort appears sooner, you escape faster. Tolerance shrinks, goals fade, identity adjusts. You begin to say, I'm just not disciplined. But what you actually trained is this: immediate emotional reduction, not discipline. Every area of life requires tolerance. Work. Deep work feels uncomfortable. It requires sustained focus without constant stimulation. If you cannot tolerate slow progress, you will constantly restart. Fitness. Muscles grow through microdamage and repair. If you cannot tolerate soreness, you quit before adaptation happens. Money. Saving requires sitting with impulse. Impulse feels urgent. If you reduce urgency by spending, you train short-term relief over long-term stability. Relationships. Healthy connection requires tolerating tension. If you rush to eliminate discomfort, you become reactive or avoidant. Boundaries. Enforcing a boundary triggers anxiety. If you soften it to reduce tension, you teach people it isn't real. Creativity. Building anything meaningful requires obscurity. If you cannot tolerate being unseen, you will stop before visibility comes. Your results mirror your tolerance, not your intentions. High performers are not special. They are not superhuman. They are not immune to discomfort. They just don't interpret it as a reason to stop. They feel boredom and continue, doubt and continue, soreness and continue, silence and continue, embarrassment and continue, uncertainty and continue. That continuation builds identity. Identity builds momentum. Momentum builds outcomes. The 60-second rule. Here's the practical mechanism. When discomfort spikes, do not leave immediately. Stay 60 seconds longer than you want to. Not forever. Just longer than your old pattern. When you want to scroll, wait. When you want to quit, breathe. When you want to soften the boundary, pause. When you want to spend, delay. That micro delay is discipline forming. Over time, your tolerance window expands. Tolerance builds self-trust. Self-trust grows when you survive action. Emotional tolerance allows survival. When you stay through discomfort and nothing collapses, your body records. I can handle this. That recording builds confidence, not affirmations, not hype, evidence. Motivation is a spike. Motivation feels powerful, but it is unstable. It comes in waves. If your consistency depends on motivation, you will be inconsistent. Tolerance feels boring, but tolerance compounds. It builds quietly, you don't notice it daily, but months later, you are stronger. The identity shift. Stop saying, I'm not disciplined. Start saying, I reduce discomfort too quickly. That is trainable, that is measurable, that is adjustable. Identity labels trap you. Skill labels empower you. What happens when you build tolerance? You stop panicking at boredom. You stop collapsing under anxiety. You stop quitting at slow progress. You stop chasing constant stimulation. You stop needing immediate relief. Your emotional baseline stabilizes. You become steady. Steady beats intense. Every time. The hard truth. If you always reduce discomfort immediately, your life shrinks to match your threshold. If you expand your threshold, your opportunities expand with it. The size of your life equals the size of your tolerance window. That is not dramatic. It is mechanical. Final section. Discipline is not harshness. It is not punishment. It is not grinding yourself into exhaustion. It is the ability to remain when leaving would feel better. You don't lack discipline. You lack practice in staying. And practice changes capacity. Capacity changes identity. Identity changes outcomes. The next time discomfort appears, don't ask, how do I eliminate this? Ask, how long can I stay? That question builds everything. Thank you for watching. This is MindStickz.